Hey guys, welcome back to 25 Sweetpeas. So today for you, I'm showing you two brand new collections coming out very soon by Lemming Lacquer. So first up, I'm going to be showing you the Springtime in Fairy collection, which consists of 4 polishes in honor of their anniversary. So let's take a look. Now for this next portion of the video, we have a polish set of 4 that is releasing for the anniversary, and this first one is called Midsummer's Eve. It is kind of a lightened grass green jelly filled with more flakies, and I believe there's a shimmer in it too. I will double check that in just a moment. So as you can see, it does apply it pretty nicely for a thin jelly. And yes, there is a shimmer. It's kind of a goldeny shimmer, and then your flakies go from gold to orange to green. So there is 1 coat, and we should be able to build it up in just 2. Now we are applying our second coat, and again, these tend to dry down to a semi-matte finish, so it helps you be able to detect when these are dry. And again, I actually don't know what part of the video you're going to see this in, but one tip that I will mention probably numerous times throughout this video is that you need to pat the tip of your nail in between each coat just to make sure you don't have any flakies hanging off, because if you have a flaky hanging off and you put on your top coat, you're likely to have it chip in the next day because it's going to snag on something, and then you're going to have to redo your nails, which isn't always a bad thing, but I mean, most people want longevity. So there is 2 coats. As you could see, it could use a 3rd coat, but that is up to your personal preference. Personally, I'm okay with the 2 because I do like the jelly effect. So there is 2 coats. Now moving on to a magenta-y color called Queen Tatiana, and this one is, like I said, it's magenta, and it has a hint of a shimmer with some really neat flakies in it. So let's get on the first coat, and I will then describe the flakies as we go. You can kind of see them in this first coat. I'm not sure the camera's going to pick them up, but it's kind of got like a bluish purplish iridescentness along with some orange that makes it a little fiery, and a little hint of green. So it's really fun. And then the shimmer is kind of it's kind of a coppery shimmer, maybe more orange, just depending on what section of the bottle you see it in. There's even a hint of like a purple shimmer. It really just depends on which way you turn the bottle. Now it is time for our second coat. And our second coat has resulted in full coverage, so take a look at those really fun flakies. I like the ones up towards the cuticle. I feel like they really kind of just light up the nails. Moving on to the blue shade called Enchanted GLEN, which is a really fun color. It's a blue jelly again with like a tealish green shimmer running throughout it that really kind of just lights it up. I personally love the combination of blue and like a teal. And then there are flakies in it as well that kind of shift between a magenta shade, a green shade, a hint of purple, and sometimes you can pick up a little gold, but not as often the gold. Also, in addition to the like greenish teal shimmer, there is a hint of a purple shimmer as well. Again, this one kind of just depends on how you move the bottle. So there is 1 coat, and I do realize I totally like skipped over a little side on the nail. I do apologize about that. Sometimes it happens with the angle of the camera and my brush. So there is my first coat, and we'll let that dry and put on our second. Okay, it is now time for our second coat, which should finish us off, because as you could tell, that first coat, as it was, really did build up really quick. And now we have 2 coats, and nothing hanging off the end of the nail, but I still always like to do that if it's a manicure that I'm going to wear for any amount of time. So there is 2 coats, and the flakies are really pretty in this one. Next up and lastly, we have one called Fairy Pools, which is kind of a deep, dark teal That is really pretty for a jelly. It definitely gives you like a deep underwater vibe that I think is really fun. As you can see, it is sheer butted. It is going to build up really quick because it is such a deep polish. And I love the flakies, and I love that one that just like went up in the middle. So let's talk about what's in this. This has an orange shimmer, which is really neat because it's not like so in your face, but when you move it just the right way, it's like, whoa, I'm here. And then there's like green flakies that also turn blue and a little hint of purple. So there is our first coat. Okay, now we are moving on to our second coat. And as you can see, that built up really fast and a whole bunch of flakies joined the party. And it's just so pretty. So there is 2 coats of fairy pools. Next up, we're moving on to the Disjointed collection, which is really fun and pretty. Due to some of the titles, actually, I will be leaving the titles out. This is based off the Netflix television show, if that helps you out any. But since they are all unique enough, I felt like it would still be okay because you guys will be able to go to the Lemming Lacquer website and see the polishes when they are released on the 24th. So now let's get right into the swatches. First up, we have this like deep green jelly based polish filled with a orangey coppery shimmer and some iridescent flakies. So there is 1 coat. As you can see, it is a little bit thin. You do have to watch the flakies on the edges, but for the most part it went on nice and evenly for a sheer polish. So we're going to let that dry and then apply our second coat. These do dry down to a satin-like finish, so you can tell when they have completely dried on your nails, and you will know when you're ready to apply your second coat. Now, with some of these jellies, it takes 2 to 3 coats. I'm going to be showing you, for the most part, just 2. It just really depends on how thick or how thin you do your coats and how bold your white line. As you can see, my white line isn't super bold at the moment, but again, you have, I'm like scatterbrained. What I was saying is that when your nail line isn't super intense, you usually only need 2 coats, like I have done here. Of course, you could do 3 just to add more depth, make the color darker. Again, you do need to be careful about the flakies. Like as you can see, there's like 1 here that just is like poking off. So either like tap it down with your nail, with your finger while it's drying, or just go over it until you can get it to sit as flat as possible. But there is 2 coats and I have reached full coverage. Next up, we have another jelly-based polish. This one is kind of a purpley color, so it'll be interesting to see how the camera picks it up, if it shows it more purple or blue. It really just depends on the eye of the beholder because it is kind of one of those colors that's very debatable. To me, it is a bit more purple, as you can see on this sheer coat, but it does like kind of just build up to be a more purpley shade. It has a teal shimmer throughout it, and then it has iridescent flakies as well. As you can see, not many of those flakies came out in the first coat, but even though that was a sheer first coat, it did apply very nice and evenly. Now we are going to apply our second coat to see how it builds up. As you can see, that shimmer is coming through more on that coat for sure, and some of the flakies have adhered a bit better than they did on the first coat. And again, one of my tips for all like polishes that have biggish things in them is to like tap the edge of your nail just to make sure you don't have anything hanging off. And there is 2 coats and we have reached full coverage. Next up, we have a lighter shade that has flakies and a shimmer in it. And this one is a light purpley pastel shade. As you can see, it is another jelly based one, and this one has like a fiery pink shimmer in it, and again with the iridescent flakies, which make it really fun. There is 1 coat. Even though it is thin, it goes on really nice and evenly. Now going in for our second coat, we should reach full coverage. Again, it all depends on how thick you do your coats. I'm doing mine what I consider normal. I think it's normal for most people as well. So if you are one that does super thin coats, you might need 3 coats. But if you do it what I consider average and what you guys see me doing, then you're going to be good with 2. So there is 2 coats. And as you can see, the flakies are smaller in this one, so they don't have as a big of an effect, but they do look gorgeous on the nail, and the shimmer in this one is really fun and fiery. Next up is a green jelly based. It's kind of actually crelly based because it is a little bit creamy with a shimmer and flakies in it as well. And again, like I've said with the past polishes, it is rather sheer, but the flakies do show through. And actually, I know I said shimmer, but that was a mistake. There actually is not a shimmer in this one. It is just really fun yellow to orange to green flakies. So there is one thin coat. Now we are on to the second coat. One thing you will notice that I have done with most all of these jellies is that on my first coat, I do it rather thin just so it will dry down nicely. But then the second coat, I go on and do it a bit thicker, which is what I would consider my average coat. I have just found this method works better for jellies to get the best amount of buildup in as a minimal amount of coats and still have it dry and have it look nice. So there is 2 coats and we have reached full coverage. Now we are moving on to a actual crelly where it is very creamy based and then it has scattered glitters, and this one has metallic flakies, or more like golden coppery shards, which I love. This one's actually one of my favorites in this collection. I think it's really pretty. As you can see, there is 1 coat, and I keep messing that side of my nail. There's 1 coat. We have a really great coverage, I think. I just totally wiped it off for no reason. And there's 1 coat with a little touch up because I messed up on the brush. There's 1 coat, and I personally really like it. I do think it needs a second coat, but depending on your preference, you may not need to. If you're in a pinch, you probably could get away with 1. But there's 1 coat. I just love all the colors because this is kind of like a sky-ish baby blue. Then it's got golden coppery glitters and like micro glitters and bigger glitters, and it's just really fun. So there's 1 coat. Now on to our second coat. And the second coat definitely completes it and brings us to full coverage. And I think it's just such a fun polish. And apparently I can't speak tonight. That is an ongoing trend. So there is 2 coats for full coverage. Now we are moving on to the holos in this collection. And first up, we are starting with this very interesting green. I'm trying to figure out the best way to explain it, and I'm not really sure. It's just kind of one that everybody's going to see a little differently. It's kind of like a yellowed green, if that makes sense. Not quite Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew is definitely a bit more like neon. But this is different. Like, it's not a color that I would gravitate towards too, but if you are into this type of green, I think you're really going to like it because it's a great formula and it's a really pretty holo. So there is 1 coat, and I got it on my skin, so I'm just going to clean that up. And as you can see, like, it had a really great formula and went on really nice. We're going to easily reach full coverage in 2 coats. So there is 1. Now it is time to apply our second coat. And we are definitely at full coverage. And again, even though I'm not a huge fan of the color, for my personal taste, I feel like it is a great polish for this color, meaning it has a great formula, it looks pretty, and yeah, I was just really pleased with it. Now we are moving on to another similar color. It's like a mustardy brown. Like, it's one of those fall colors that most people call ugly colors, but there's like a whole group of people that actually like the color. So we are gonna put on our first coat. As you can see, it does actually kind of remind me of like golden leaves in the fall. Not that I like fall, But if you're into that, I think you're going to like it. This is like a great polish. It is a great formula. As you can see, that first coat applied really nicely, and we're definitely going to reach full coverage in just 2. Now we're moving on to our second coat. And there we go. It definitely has full coverage, and it is really pretty if you're into this kind of fun and different color. Next up, and lastly for this collection in this video, we have this really pretty deep like eggplant holo polish that is just so rich and gorgeous, as you guys are currently seeing. There is 1 coat, and honestly, you could get away with 1 coat in a pinch. Like, personally, you can tell there's like a little color difference in spots because it isn't fully built up to 2. So I'm going to show you 2, but in a pinch, you could totally get away with 1, and not many people would notice unless they're like super up close. And if they're super up close, they probably don't need to be there, you know? So there is 1 coat. Okay, now we are going to apply our second coat. And I realized I got it on my skin. I'm so sorry about that. But there is our second coat, and we have reached full coverage, and it is really lovely. And here's your final look at all of the different polishes you guys just swatched in this video. These will be releasing both at the same time on April 24th. I will have all of the release information and links that you may need to get to the Lemming Lacquer shop in the description box below. Also, I will have a link to today's blog post, which will have more pictures and more information as always. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to like it or give it a thumbs up, whatever we call it now, and subscribe for more videos like this, and I will see you guys very soon with more videos. I'm sorry that we skipped one this week, but we will be back next week with plenty of fun new videos. So that's it for now. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!